Today's song is We Are Family. I think that would be an appropriate song. But what kind of family do you all want to be? Let's chime in if you'd like. 1-888-721-9260. We're live, guys. So, in the family structure, we think about, again, the word toxic, the behavior, and what words do you think of when you think about something being toxic? Remember, I talked about repelling, I talked about something that you don't want to digest, abuse, neglect, conflict, and there's even feelings of animosity that you don't feel connected to your family. Some people have even said, I hate my family. Hate, though, is a strong word, but it is a feeling. And Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast does not want you to dismiss your family. Because if you are saying that, you also should be thinking about why. Why is that an issue? Now let's go back. We talked about the feelings of animosity, anger, unresolved issues. Um, you may have that. And you have to be honest with yourself. What has been the breaking of the family? Has it been something that has been going on for a long time? And I want us to separate children and parent. Sometimes we may have someone that is not willing to admit that they're playing a part in the family's toxic behaviors. Or we might have someone that denies it altogether, that there are any issues. So what do? You must be able to think about closure, finding the root, and finding the cause can bring you to closure. And when I say closure, I'm not talking about being done with the family, because sometimes we just need to be done because it doesn't prove anything. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look at broken parents. You know, sometimes we don't want to hear the word broken. Because there are thriving families. I first want you to know that. But sometimes there are families that are experiencing stigmas, a broken home. Some are experiencing separation, divorce, the parents, struggling, unhealthy, emotionally and mentally. But I want you to think about the understanding. What is a broken parent? Sometimes it looks like struggle. I want you to think about the word struggle. When you're struggling, and struggle is not an easy word. You think about struggling to get through the day. And mind you, every family struggles with something. What does it look like for you as a parent, or you as the product of your parent, even though you are not your parents? Come a little closer. I said, what does it look like being the parent and struggling, or struggling to parent? Let's take a look at that. When we think about the daily demands of parenting, whether you have been raised by both parents, mother and father, you have had parents. You were born from parents. And parents teach you what they have learned. Or parents teach you what they have learned. Are you struggling to be a better parent? Let's face it, none of us get the Parent of the Year award. I don't think there's anybody that has it, and I might be wrong. But if you do have the Parent of the Year award, please get in contact with us. But we're struggling to be the best parents we know how to be, right? But then you look at emotional distress. Remember how I said no parent is perfect? No parent is perfect, but I'll tell you what. If they're not coping and it's unhealthy behavior, let's look at the dynamics. Emotional distress comes when financial strain, marital issues, health issues. It impacts your home environment. The dynamics, the way you have been raised, the way you may raise your children. We have to look at that. What are the dynamics? What are the things that you do that are healthy versus unhealthy? Sometimes when you look at that, that can be broken. We ask a lot of questions around here, and I hope today we can answer something by helping you to think about broken families. And that is what today's title is. When we think about something broken, do we look at it as it's not fixable? How many times have we taken something that is broken and tried to fix it? Do we ask ourselves, can it be fixed? Or do we instinctively just try to put it back together? What would be your answer to that? And I want to help you guys to appreciate something too. You can at any time comment, regardless of if we've already been live. You can do that. We are interactive. We welcome your comments. Is it so broken that the damage cannot be undone? Is it so wrong to even think about fixing broken parents who are raising broken children. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to picture your family. Doesn't matter where you start. Your family and the dynamics of your family. You know, we have driven around and on cars, you will see those stickers. Remember those stickers? And they would have the little decal that would have the mother, the father, the dog, the baby. Sometimes I see them with names, and that represents your family. I want you to do something. Might be a little uncomfortable, but think about where your dynamic started. We know that the dynamic starts with the parent. But what you remember about that thing that broke you. Because that's going to be the factor. What broke you or your family. We look at damage, we look at hurtful, we look at the stigma of brokenness. But now I want you to focus on your family and maybe draw the decal in your mind or on paper or wherever you're using, whatever you're using today, and think about the family dynamic. Whether you're a middle child, the firstborn, the lastborn, whether you're in an extended family, where do you fit in the picture? Let's start with us first, and then we can move on to the next. We think about the conflict, the toxicity in relationship. We think about families that look to us broken and damaged. Some will survive. Some can survive, depending on what you want to do. We need to think about rearranging that word. Think about families as a structure that has changed. Has your family dynamic changed? Let's start right there. Has it changed? So the next question that you may want to ask yourself is, what has changed in your family dynamic? What has changed? And how has it affected you? The change that affected you. Because sometimes we don't know where to start. And we say, God, what is wrong with our family? What happened to us? Let's think about what happened. You know, as children, we're in a family situation. I've been using that word a lot, situation. There are situations, the way that we raise our children, the way that we've been raised, how we respond, how we react. All of us do it a little differently, but we do what we do. We react, we respond, we've come from families. We all have family situation. What is your family situation as you hear today's podcast? And we're going to look at some of the struggles. We're going to be hikers and climbers today. When we think about the structure and the levels of our family situations. We have health problems. anxiety, depression. That's why there are podcasts like this one. There are situations that cause us to be anxious about life. But now we're going to take a look. We're going to take a deep look at some situations as we climb. In families, there have been parents of and children of abandonment. That's a big word, left. When someone has left you, when someone has rejected you, becoming less involved with you is what we're talking about. Those are feelings. And just because it's happened to you, you can unlearn that abandonment. Sometimes facing the lion is harder than one could ever think. But we must face it. Here's another one. Low self-esteem. How has that been with yourself? Because you were indeed raised by parents or guardians. How has it left you? What is your self-esteem? How do you feel about yourself? Was there someone that created that for you? Perhaps saying that you were unlovable or showing you that you were unlovable or not worthy or not good enough. And the list goes on and on about low self-esteem. In other words, where did your low self-esteem originate from? Now I want you to go back to that little decal that you've seen. It's familiar to everyone that has driven. We've all seen it. Members of your family in stick figures. They go from the husband, the wife, the children, even the dogs and cats or birds. I've seen some like that. So I want you to make one that looks like your family. And then I want you to be honest of who has created the low self-esteem that you may be feeling. It's going to require honesty when we look at our family dynamic, because so many people have popularized that. And we've all seen it, right? We've all seen what it looks like. And I want you guys to really understand. Sometimes because we are in family situations, it produces for some of us difficulty in other relationships, forming healthy relationships because of our family situation that looks or has been broken. Where there's others of us that have had withdrawal from people, your peers, social interaction, and that's how we cope. Because we rather withdraw because we don't want that pain. See, those are the social effects of it. A lot of us act and behave excuse me, problematic, aggression, defiance, to be able to express our feelings and sometimes completely shut down and say, we don't want to talk about it. Again, who in your family is having that issue? And if you say nobody, that's okay too. But I am sure that today's podcast is going to hit home to one or more of you. Being that I worked with children as an educator, we don't look at the dynamic of family because as educators we take the time to teach the child academically. But can I be honest with you? A lot of issues are affecting the children and how they perform at school. Number one, lack of food. Sometimes because there's a lack of food in the home, that child is not ready to come to school and perform because they're hungry. They haven't had a good, decent meal. And can I help you to understand that there are a lot of hard-working parents that barely can meet ends meet? Please, face that lion. Tell somebody. Because your children, and if you are not the child of, they're dealing with it as best as they can. We send them off to school. Their focus, their motivation in school, what happens? They start failing in school because something is going on in the home, perhaps more times than likely, because someone has to care about that broken child. And you say, well, I've come from a two-parent household, my mom, my dad, or maybe your mother didn't raise you. Maybe you were raised by your dad. Maybe there was no dad in the home and your mother did the best that she could. Or maybe they didn't even try at all. There's all kinds of circumstances. But you're a child, and you, as the child of a broken home, are impacted. When we think about children who miss school, stress, emotional stress, I find it very important that children need stability. If you're in an unstable home, children are oftentimes affected. I'd like to tell you a story that's a true story, and it affected my child, if not the both of them. We were actually homeless at one time, not because of not being able to or not paying rent or skipping the rent. We had a situation that provided me with less money. This was years ago. My youngest had started kindergarten. And we were really looking for a place to live. We were staying with a very dear friend of mine, and it affected him. The teacher pulled me over one day and she says, "Hey, He was crying crocodile tears today. And he's usually not like that. What is going on? I began to tell her that we were looking for a place. We had a place to stay, but we needed a home to call our own. That affected him. And until this day, I think about a child being displaced, not having their own home, not having their own room, and the stress that it causes. Does that look like your home, your family dynamic? No one would have ever believed that I went through that. But as I tell you, everything we bring to you, we may have really experienced it. You be the judge of that. When we think about what brokenness looks like, or needing to repair, or damage, or toxicity, or unhealthy situations, we have long-term effects. What do we think about that? We talked about the instability. And sometimes it affects us long range into adulthood. And I heard this saying, and I truly believe it. Parents can only give you what they have learned. They can only do what they have learned. Some of us are experiencing where we feel that our parents don't do enough, haven't done enough, not there for us, emotionally unavailable, physically not there. But have you ever thought about what their lives have been like? What were their parents like? And I want to say, with that being said, that you don't have to be as your parents are or were, whether it is a good experience or a challenging experience. You are not your parents. What do? You think about the things of not being as your parents are. Even if they were the best parents, you will learn some things, some traits. But when do you learn to break the cycle of brokenness? We think about the mental and emotional health of yourselves. If you are a parent of someone, or you have been parented by someone, it does affect you whether you say it doesn't or not. How are you doing? What have you faced? What has been long term? I talk to many people who have dealt with depression. You ask them how long they've been depressed, and they'll tell you, all my life. And so what the job is for me is to help them discover their root cause. And that little exercise that I gave you about seeing the family on the decal, the mother, the father, and stick figure, usually, can I tell you something? That's a good exercise. I want you guys to try it. Because maybe something affected you. Maybe it was something that happened to somebody else in your family that may have been an impactful thing in your life that was a negative or a positive. Because we don't always want to play the blame game with the parents. We are simply not here to blame family. You could have been the best parent, but something affected your home. Sometimes we don't want to be the bad guy or the guy that spills the tea and say, well, that happened. But we want to find the resulting cause, and we ask the questions, and I want you to write this somewhere. What, how, where, and when? Those are leading questions. If you're not asking those questions, then I would say go back and rethink those to any counselor, any psychologist, any professional person. How, what, why, and where. When I took a test for my certification credits, that was on the test. So are you asking those questions? And I say to those of you who are parenting or parents of, or children of, ask yourself, when did this start for me? And I want you to draw those stick figures of in your family dynamics, because when you see that, that's going to help you. Because sometimes we carry resentment, we carry rage, we carry anger, hostility, and all of that poisons us. And sometimes we just have to get it out, because a lot of times when we start getting it out, it looks like broken, because nobody wants to say, I did that to that person. Nobody's going to admit that. But I'm asking you, what part are you playing in the family dynamic? How are you coping with what you have been left with in the family cycle? How do you cope? Do you encourage communication? Do you ask, how are they feeling? Does someone ask you those things? Every day, despite whatever is happening in my home, I never allow my children to leave. Or even for my oldest, who is not living here, without saying the words, and there are 3 words, I love you. See, that can do a lot of good. Because despite what the odds are for our family, they know one thing. I love them. And when they speak to me, they always conclude the conversations via phone, text, with I love you. And that's good for me. Because you know what? I fuss a lot. I really do. I will fuss you out of the house. But I mean well. So I look back at the family dynamics of me parenting. I'm not the perfect parent, but my children know I love them. Now, maybe you're not a family that say a lot of I love yous or the hugging type, because maybe that wasn't done to you in someone parenting you. But you can start that. You can start those I love yous. You can start to rebuild what has been broken. Having little conversation, doing something differently. You are not victims of brokenness. Come a little closer. I said you are not victims of brokenness. There is support. We start with this Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. It's all about your feelings, all about your communication. We don't just let you call up and tell you how to fix it. We ask you, what are you going to do about it? You say you come from broken homes. You say you are a child of a broken home. But when you do your drawing, I want you to look at everyone in your family and how or why they've been affected. Think about your situation and don't be hard on yourself. We don't want parents to feel like if they've come from a broken home, if you've come from a broken home, because I don't want to speak in a third party sense, a third person sense. I want to talk to you directly. I want you to be able to feel personal connection. I want you to feel like you are not the product. You're not the byproduct. Something can be done. You're not alone. That's why we're having this conversation. Sometimes our connections with people become unhealthy right in our own family unit. Just because you have a sticker on the back of your car window that says you got this and they have the name under the stick figure, that doesn't mean that they're perfect family just because they have a cat, dog, turtle, father, mother, 2 children. What it means is that you're a family unit. And families have unresolved issues. Families have no emotional support, no mental support. Families deal with trauma, past trauma, issues, bigger issues, addiction, abuse, mental health. Just because it looks fractured doesn't mean it's not capable of being fixed. There may be some things that need to be fixed. What are you going to work on? You know, I think about a lot of talk shows and radio shows and podcasts, and people call in. Just because the host may give advice, it's not a fix-up. It's not going to change once you call in. But I'm asking you today, what are you capable of doing? What are you capable of doing to connect or to break the chain of the family dynamic that is unhealthy? What are you going to do? There are many estranged parents. When I say estranged, that means that parents and children, they don't have any connection. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to resolve. No one wants to communicate an issue. So because something is unresolved, what do? They stop talking. They stop seeing each other. And then there are other children that are born in that family line that are grandchildren. And so the children don't want their parents who have been estranged from them, or them making that choice. The children, we're talking about grown adult children, and guess who's affected? The grandchildren. They can't see the grandmother or grandfather because the children and the parents have not resolved their issues. Let's think of a better way to connect. It's not irreparable, your brokenness. Break the cycle from what brokenness looks like. To understand the issues. Remember, we talked about the issues, and I'm going to tell you what. The family issues start from just that picture. Try it. Draw your stick figures of family, how many you got, even if you're an only child. You can still experience these situations. And oh yeah, they're very challenging, might I add. Because there's been some real raw things that have caused the families to be broken. But I need you to understand that there's always healing from. What do you want to do to heal from it? Do you want to always look like a broken family? See, nobody wants to put a picture up of broken stick figures. But I want you to ask the 4 questions. What, when, where, and how? What does it look like? And start to say families are welling themselves. Even if you are broken, can you get to a place where you can say, that was me, but I'm welling myself? Come a little closer. Can you get to a place to say, that was me, but I'm welling myself? We're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. We'll be right back, okay? Don't go anywhere as we talk about breaking the family, or breaking the cycle of broken parents who are raising broken children. Breaking the cycle. We'll be right back. the healing center open for everyone, not just your community center, but your center for connection anywhere you live. We're back, and now it's going to be time for Trisha's Treasures. And we thank you so much for being here. You can find Trisha's Treasures by going to our YouTube page, and you can find Trisha's music also on that page, and she will fill in right where you can listen to Trisha's Treasures.
Hi, this is Trisha's Treasures, affiliated with Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast. Hi guys, this is Trisha's Treasures, and today I'm going to be diving into some old music that I made. Okay, guys, and I've been listening. I've been listening to some of my old music, or people say OG old music, and I think it's interesting to talk about it. It's like kind of nostalgic in a way, and it's a lot of deep meanings in some of my lyrics. I remember why I wrote them and the day I wrote them. Yeah, so I've been very excited to talk about this, and I'm also nervous because my old music isn't the best quality. But back then I didn't care. I just wanted to record, get it out there, and like share what I had to say, share the message. So I'm gonna have that mindset while listening to my old music. So let's get into it. The first song I'm going to play for you guys is a song I made when I just turned 17, and I was discussing how it was when I tried to fit in school, but it never worked out for me. Like, I never found my, what do you say? Like we discussed in Vibe Talk, our table, like what table are you sitting at? I never found the table really, because for one, I was in book club. That was one table. I loved music. That was another table. And I loved like discussing things about anime and Harry Potter and all those things. So I never found my niche really in school, because music, reading, being smart, like those three, they have their own tables, you know what I'm saying? So, but now that I know that I can have all three and not put myself in a box, now that I know that my table is versatile, that's what my table is. So, let's listen to it. Let me stop stalling. Let's listen to the song, y'all. Queen Fly on the track. It's a real one. Once upon a time, it was long ago. First grade started back to kick up the show. Had no friends, I was always alone. Waited till 14 when I got my first phone. Never share with no one, but I promise I know. Who you really are, so that's as hard as you know. I don't wanna talk to no one, I I'm low key smiling right now. It's a mix of cringe smiling, but like also it's me trying not to critique myself. But let's talk about the lyrics though. Let's talk about the lyrics. How did they go? Okay. Once upon a time, it was long ago. Started first grade, about to kick up the show. Had no friends. I was always alone. I was 14 when I got my first phone. That is a true story. I didn't get my first phone. It wasn't a phone. It was a tablet. I got my first device when I was like 14 years old. And then that's when I started like recording myself. I started a lot of writing lyrics in my notepad on my phone, well, my tablet. So the first two bars, once upon a time, it was long ago. I started first grade, about to kick up the show. When I was in first grade, after the gym, because in first grade we would sit in the gym first, then we'll go to breakfast, we'll go to class, and then our teacher, like during the time, like 10:30 or something, we would go to either chorus, art, or other things, or gym. So I was in chorus, aka music, and my teacher, Miss Tony, I'll never forget her. Miss Tony, she was she was singing a song. Okay, I still remember the song, but I'm not gonna sing it. Okay, she was singing a song from the music book, and then she asked, "Can any of you sing to it?" She went to the xylophone, and she was like, "Can any of you sing along while I play the xylophone?" Everybody was shy, but I raised my hand and I was like, "I know how to do it. I can do it." She was like, "Oh, okay, you go ahead." So I sang it, and after I sang it, everyone like they gave a clap. They gave me a round of applause because she told them to give me a round of applause, and she was like, "That's very good. You have a nice voice," and that's what that lyric means. About to kick up the show. That's what that means. So after that lyric, it was had no friends. I was always alone. Waited till 14 till I got my first phone. I was I was held back seventh grade, and in between that time, I was trying to find my niche of like friends because my other friends, my old friends, they were in eighth grade. So we got separated. Our relationships got like severed in the middle of that, in the crossfire of that. And because of that, I was back to square one. I had to make new friends. And during that time, I was 13. And later on, after I was 13, later on, like when the year was almost over, or in the middle of the year, I made some friends. Okay, I made some. And so this is part of my story. So this is me telling a story in the song. And so during that time, that's when I turned 14. My birthday's April 19th, guys. I turned 14. And then that's when I got me a tablet. I got my first phone. And I said phone because alone and phone, they rhyme, guys. But I got a tablet, not a phone. Correction, correction. Okay. Oh, if you want to find this song, I do not have it posted at all. This is a song that I made that I was like, I don't think that's worthy of posting, but I think it's a good song. Well, the meaning and the flow, it's good. It's got something, okay? So, but I never posted it. So the next lyric is never chilled with no one, but I promise I knew who you really are. That's what silence can do. Basically, it was me being in my own bubble, having social anxiety, so it was hard to get close to people and make new friends. So during that time, it was me being 14. This is, when I was 14 and 15, it was hard to like make friends and stuff like that because I'm shy. It's hard to talk to people for me. So I'm better now. But back then, it no, it wasn't working out for me. So during that time, I was very quiet. Like I said a few words, I said a few things. Like I would make people laugh here and there. Like they hear me talk in class if I have to talk in the group work, or if I have to answer questions. Like they'll hear me talk, but it took me a while to get comfortable with people and actually hold a conversation. But because I was quiet in class or whatever, I knew who was fake and who was real. I knew who didn't like the other person. I knew basically about everyone in my classroom because I was quiet and I listened to their conversations, and we had certain classes together. So I knew who was being a fake friend and who was being a real one. So who was not being so faithful to their little girlfriend or not. So I knew, but that's what silence can do. When you're quiet and you listen and you observe your surroundings, you know a lot about people. You know who to talk to and who not to talk to. You know who to trust and you know not to trust. So that's what those lyrics mean. The next two lyrics are never talk to no one that I never knew. Always doing homework, getting paid after two. So basically, again, I don't feel comfortable. I still don't. I didn't feel comfortable, and I don't feel comfortable talking to people that I don't know. I never met you. It takes a while for that, guys. And that's where I was. That's something in me that hasn't changed, but I'm going to school to be a teacher. I'm trying to do the math of that one. I'm still working on it. Um, but yeah, and always doing homework, getting paid after two. Basically, people would ask me to do their homework for them, and they will pay me. So that's what that lyric means. That was around the time where people will ask me for answers to to the questions on the test or the quiz, or did you do the homework? Can I see your paper? Basically, that was the only conversation people that I never knew had with me. So that's what made me kind of skeptical in talking to people that I didn't know, and especially those people that asked me those questions. This was me when I was 15 and 16. So the next lyrics is I just wanted homies just to kick up the scene, but nothing ever fitted till I got in my teens. Basically, if no one knows what kick up the scene means, I had to Google it myself to like fully explain it correctly. I knew what I meant, but I have to explain it correctly so you guys can understand. So, kicking up the scene, it basically means like cause a ruckus, to be loud, noisy and rowdy, like cause a disturbing attention towards yourself. So, during the time, I just like hung around people that were loud and stuff like that because I was still struggling to fit in and things like that. I knew I was not like that, but I just hung around them because I just wanted friends. So it was like desperation to be noticed, to have friends. Every teenager knows that struggle, that phase where you're trying so hard to fit in with anybody and everybody. So that's the phase I was in. And I realized that nothing that didn't even fit, that I was out of place there as well. And then it goes to nothing ever fitted till I got in my teens. Again, Meaning, I never found where I fit in until I was like late 16, 17 to 18. I never found who I was until those years. I started diving into who I was. So that's what that song means. And we're gonna do a part two. I'm gonna do a part two. Stay tuned. See you soon. Hi, this is Trisha's Treasures. Affiliated with Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast.
Thank you for that. And if you want to hear more of Trisha's Treasures, go look for it on our YouTube page. I want to give some thank yous. First of all, to my amazing co-host Trish, thank you for being my right arm, in that you've always got my back and I have yours as well. And thank you to some very interesting cities and countries that have listened to us. Argentina, Canada. The other one was Bulgaria. Gosh, I mean, there's so many here. Thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you, the UK. We appreciate you, the United States. You all here in the United States. Get the word out, because here's where we discuss your feelings, your emotions. And I'm so grateful that this podcast has reached so many people. We are a cause for the Healing Center that was inspired by this very podcast. And we accept all donations. So if you want to donate, there's information there for you as well. Thank you. And we hope that you will continue to break the broken family cycle. Have a good day. And this is Transformation Tuesday, where it will do you good to change your life. Have a good day, everybody. See you soon.